It appears that even generators can surprise the community. You guys smash the little crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more content. So I wanted to actually look at the Genesys Invitational from this weekend's YCS. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Invitational is comprised of multiple winners from the side events of the Genesys format itself. And it's, the first and second places of every one of the side events ends up getting the chance to make their way into the Invitational to play for a Dark-End Dragon. Now, they do have the breakdown here. We are missing a little bit of info, but it's not really what I care about. I mean, we have a visible top 8 here. So your top 16, you did have 4 Vanquish Soul top cuts, which is not bad, along with 2 Radiant Typhoon. But also you had Odeon, Exosister, Generaider, Archmage, White Forest, and even a Resonator deck that managed to kind of overcome a lot of the boundaries here. Now, your top 8, unfortunately, I mean, Vanquish Soul's still an absolute beast here. You know, you have 3, you also have an Odeon, you have an Exosister, a Generaider, a Typhoon, and you've also got the Archmage. But when you shift beyond this, when you crack into that top 4, we get to see Vanquish Soul, Odeon, Exosister, and Generaider. So this is where, you know, those rogue decks are really starting to kind of get their chance to shine here. And it's kind of starting to show maybe some of the problems that Vanquish Soul was having. And of course, your grand finals was Vanquish Soul versus Odeon, with Vanquish Soul eventually overcoming, you know, the odds here. Now, for what you're looking at in terms of this format, I mean, I didn't think I would see something like White Forest in this format, but I mean, I guess it makes sense. Archmage was one of the rivalries decks. It continues to be very good, but Radiant Typhoon has pretty much gone beyond my expectations for this format. I think that's really, really cool. Now, winning our event, of course, was Vanquish Soul. Now, I do expect probably sometime soon we will see some point revisions on this deck because, you know, getting the ability to splash in impulses and fire attacker in a deck like this, they're basically just circumventing things. And also, you know, Holy Sue just becomes a way better card in this format. And it's kind of crazy to me because you're basically just playing Vanquish Soul without Rock the Vanquisher at that point. Yeah, the deck becomes a little bit more fragile, I guess is the word I'm looking for, but a deck like this still has a great chance to play. You also do get to see, I mean, DD Crows are free in this format, which is nice. We also do get to see, you know, we have to dedicate side points down here. You know, you're going to want things like Droll and Lockbird to be cards that you can actually access to be able to play the game. And fundamentally, I think that's an important part of this. Also having access to Book of Eclipses as well was very, very solid. Now, your Odeon list, we've already taken a look at a couple of these lists early in the week, but realistically, actually dedicating slots to the droplet is good. Cool thing is, I mean, you can trade off these trap cards that are kind of maybe clogging up your back row, for example, giving you a chance to play the game. Now, also, the cool thing with this deck is you are able to go second. And that's why you got the Dark Rulers in here. You see the droplets and the Evenlies here, because fundamentally you have to have some sort of chance to play the game. I mean, yeah, we're playing Nibs and Drolls in here, which I think is one of the more interesting choices they have. But if you know what your competition's going to be, which, for example, is just going to be, you know, maybe some of the awesome power of the current meta, then, you know, like Vanquish Soul, you want these cards to crack Vanquish Soul's board. And then, you know, we can use our trap package to make the Apophis and basically generate advantage. Seems good. Now, Exosister. I'm actually surprised that this duelist dedicated a slot to Thunder King Ryo. But realistically, I mean, it's not a bad choice, right? You deploy a Thunder King Ryo for the 20 points it is. You have a floodgate that tells your opponent, no, you're not going to get the chance to, you know, play and interact with your deck. But also at the same time, you have a walking, talking, you know, inherently blow up a summon. Like, that's kind of important, actually. Another big thing that this build is doing is you actually do see point dedications to the dark holes. We actually kind of have to rely on cards like this to kind of ensure that we can kind of set up and play the game. I mean, if your opponent's going to just blow their load and set up a field, having this is going to be important. You also do see, yeah, we are dedicating some slots to Solemn Judgments. I do kind of agree with this in this format, honestly. Judgment just ensures that, a deck like Exosister can set up their Magnifica, and then, you can hide behind the Judgment. Congratulations, you set up your board. You've got your pieces ready to go, and we can kind of ride that interruption wave and do what our deck needs to do. I think that's fine. That's the sort of stuff that, this deck does need to be doing. It's at good control options. Also, we do get to see Di-Fi, Grave doing their job. So, interesting choices. We also have Hanko Chow coming in with Generaider. Now, this deck really took me aback because it's crazy to me. Also, we are exploiting the dinosaur package here, which, for what we have seen, the dinosaur package has been pretty good, being able to toggle into this. But also, we do get to play this nice little level 9 that gets to extend out pieces so we can play the game. You also see, yes, we are doing Dark Roller No More in here to kind of crack apart these fields and kind of get set up. I think that's all fine and dandy, right? You just have to get those control pieces going. But you're also going to notice all of our points are being wrapped up on the true King of all calamities, which means we're not going to get an opportunity to play these other power cards. We fundamentally are relying on the turn skip powers here that our deck is trying to do, which I think is a very, very solid game plan. It's kind of what Genesis format's about, right? Like, you put all of your eggs in one basket for your 100 points, and you get access to one power card. It just so happens that True King of all calamities is like the apex of power cards, but you don't really get much of a trade-off outside of this. You're forced to kind of rely on this, kind of get the job done. So kind of cool to see. And then we have some runic action for you. Yeah, we are playing Generaider Runic. Now remember, because there's no extra monster zone in this format, unfortunately, our runic spell cards don't get the ability to roll out in Generaider's advantage, but that's fine. We can use the paralyzing effects of these cards instead, which is your real purpose for wanting to use these. It's also, you have 3 fountain in this format, man. Like, when you strip off the extra deck abilities of this package, the deck becomes, I would say, a little bit more fair and actually gives you some room to kind of grow. Also, your extra deck is just going to be covering so many kind of like odd places. We also do get to see the old Pyre here. In terms of where our point dedication went, you just want to play triple pot of greed in this deck. I understand. Yes, drawing cards to, stun the opponent with this stuff is amazing. Then we have some Art Mage for you. Medius the Pure is an insane card, man. Medius's job is just to, annoy the opponent. But the goal here is, you basically get with set up an Omni Negate and a board wipe, and then we have Black Goat Laughs as well. You're basically doing what the White Forest deck was kind of choosing to do here. In Modern Era, you use the Black Goat Laughs to make sure your opponent can't use any real detrimental effects against you, and then your goal is just to kind of calculate and figure out, hey, I need to set this up. This end board piece is going to be the best, and kind of set up and go from there. We're also side decking Lost Winds. Didn't think I would see the day with that. Also, Ultimate Slayers giving you access to those additional negates is good. And also, even Vidos having a little bit of a place in this format. Also, shout out to the Skullmeister being maybe a little bit more of a suboptimal choice. But, he's really getting his chance to shine. And then we have also got another Radiant Typhoon list. This one is just playing Droplets and Chalices. Also, books galore here. They just use their point dedications for, actual interruptible cards, which is fine. You're doing the same thing that the Runic build is doing. It's just you're using different means to get the things. This also does emphasize, Zeus being a power card in the extra deck. You can access and actually kind of tear apart things. Not really much else to say with this. You got one Radiant Typhoon list. You've kind of seen them all. But what do you guys think about these kind of cool lists? Please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. This Invitational was definitely a treat to follow, and I look forward to seeing what more is going to happen. patrons. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.